and welcome to this BB Education cutting tutorial. Today's tutorial is focusing on the shag shape or the wolf cut shape. The difference in this tutorial and the others that we've got for you here is this is on quite long hair. This is on hair that would be hitting the rib cage of our clients. So this tutorial is going to help you to understand how we connect in such shorter lengths that frame the face while still maintaining the external lengths without losing all the thickness of our client's length for them. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to imagine the lengths already had the ends taken off. We're going to begin with diagonal back sections working roughly from an inch in to establish our first guideline. So to do this, we're going to pull this section straight out but part it. We're going to pull the hair slightly off centre, allowing the hair to sit to its natural fall. Elevation wise, the hair will be kept to a finger's depth elevation, allowing us to have a greater control of the thickness we leave in the line. Be also mindful of the level of tension we use. As you'll notice here, we're not using a high level of tension, as we don't want to pull the hair and stretch it from the roots. This will give us less consistency and less precision. Our distribution here is short to long, working slightly shorter in the middle, going to longer at the eyes. We repeat this process on the other side. Notice how the hair is slightly over-directing away from the middle, allowing the head to sit to more of a natural fall. Again, we're going to work with a club cut technique, which is cutting the hair blunt, to create this slight semicircle. We now take a section coming straight from the recession of the hairline, straight down. It is important to understand here that whilst we're holding the hair with our hands, we're not cutting parallel to our fingers. We will be cutting a short to long line, working from the shorter point, which we've just cut with our guideline, carving out to a longer position at the base. So here I'm going to keep moving my scissors really fast, and I'm going to move my fingers round. When slicing, which is the technique we're going to use in a moment, if we slice with the hair positioned down, it will affect the length more. We want to be conscientious not to do this. So we're going to be pulling the hair over to the side for this. So what line are you cutting here? You're cutting in a scooping motion, which will give us a curved short to long distribution. Using the guideline from the top and working a slicing motion, we're able to give ourselves a connected line working from a shorter point, which is the fringe, into a long external shape. These elements are key to this tutorial. As you'll see, all three sections were pulled to a different area and had a different distribution, but all connect in. So we take the same section, which was from the recession of the hairline, the higher the elevation, the less we affect the length. The lower, the more we affect the length. So that's very important to remember. So this is key to the difference in this tutorial to other shag tutorials we've done. This is on really long hair. So if your client has got really long hair but wants a shag haircut, it can be really unnerving, and we can often play it safe and be very subtle. But these techniques with practice will help you to develop and overcome those nerves. So here we have section 1. And we have section 2. We lift the section and we utilise some point cutting to ensure our distribution falls soft. We then take our next section. We are also elevating this. So understand here that the elevation, moving the hair up and down, is controlling the structure we leave on the outline of our haircut. Our final section, which is the baseline section, is also going to be elevated, utilising our slicing technique. It is also important that we remove section 1. This is because we want to be using the previous section as a guideline. The previous section is section 2, not section 1. So we want to be moving section 3 onto the base of section 2. Remember, we remove all the previous sections, so we're only working with 2 sections at once, giving us consistency in the position of where we pull the hair to cut it. Here you'll see we're moving the hair smooth onto the base, giving us a consistent guideline. Whereas if we'd had more hair, we would have struggled. So you'll see here, section 4 and section 5 meet on the base of section 4. This is going to give us an expanded shape that is getting slowly longer towards the crown area, giving us a longer guideline to then work with the lengths at the back. You'll notice my fingers were reasonably flat when I was working on the apex, the highest part of the head. As I start to go towards the bottom, my finger angle is lifted more. This is allowing me to slice the hair from a further short to long distribution. So by slicing from the short to the long, it's falling in a softer layered shape. Let's take the next section. Again, only onto the previous, but you'll see we're at no risk of cutting the length. So we now have a guideline which is from the front. This is our layer from the front, so we're giving us our guideline. But what we want to be doing is pivoting from this section onto the sides initially, pivoting into the middle and working back onto the previous section. So all our sections will end up being like this, working into the centre using the previous as a guideline. When we say the centre, we mean the centre nape up to the crown. Working in this way has meant horizontally the length is getting longer and longer towards the middle of the back. So here we are on our final section of our first side, working methodically and slowly to ensure we have consistency in all our cut lines. We'll repeat this process on the opposite side. So as we begin our blow dry, we're going to be using a 9-row vest brush. What you can start to assess when you're blow drying is you can start to use the mirror and see how the hair falls and assess where the weight is and get a feel for what you're going to do once the hair is complete. So this is our shape that is totally dry, had no straighteners, had no product, and hasn't been texturized. And I'm really quite happy with the results. But now we're going to look at diagnosing where to texturize and why. We're going to focus our texturizing initially on this particular area, on the fringe. We will now focus on one side at a time. We're going to focus on the whole side through here. Again, noticing that the ends of the hair here don't appear to need too much weight removing, but the hair that is here, as you can see, it falls very, very heavy. So it's more this section we need to look at opposed to here. This section already is soft, it's already giving us some texture. So if you're in that same situation, don't just cut the ends just because you feel you should. Texturizing is a prescriptive method that we don't use the same for every client. So we take the same approach where we look at the hair visually, assess it in the mirror, let the hair move. So do try to work quite individual with your approach to texturizing. So what I'm doing here is I'm letting the section fall across my fingers. And I'm very gently just slicing through the mid-lengths, which is about removing bulk, not the weight. This is our classic wolf cut shag haircut, which allows us to have shorter external lengths blending into long external lengths with a seamless transition and an internal texture. And this completes today's tutorial. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.